Hi guys, welcome back for another episode of The Science of Skin. Today we're going to be talking about proper skincare hygiene and some of the reasons why we have to make sure that we're being very careful in the way that we're applying our skincare and what we're doing after we apply it and, other things around that. So let's start with the microbiome because I know that everybody's very curious about this topic and it's also very buzzworthy, right? I mean, we're all, chatting about it lately, and to be honest, there's not a lot of information out there that really educates the consumer about what is the microbiome in the skin. We all have all heard of bacteria that cause acne. We've all heard of, for example, QT bacterium, which was renamed. And we've all heard of E. coli and Staph aureus and all these organisms, but there's actually a lot more. And, a lot of those are called gram-negative bacteria. So, for example, enterococci and Klebsiella and Proteus, these are all gram-negative rods that are present on the skin. And what's important to understand here is that gram-negative bacteria and gram-positive bacteria work in very different ways. So, when they actually interact with our skin's barrier, they're going to be doing different things based on their own surrounding layers. So if you were to look at a gram-positive bacterium and then look at a gram-negative, you would notice that the lamellar structure that is surrounding them, their cell walls or, their cell membranes and just the way that everything is set up is actually very different. And so these differences, without going into too much detail, these differences are actually responsible for how they interact with our skin and any damage that they cause to our skin, including things like inflammation, which can then lead to, just exacerbated, pathologies, and then, somehow compromising the skin barrier. So, when we all know when the skin barrier is compromised, we have certain things that arise, such as acne or contact dermatitis, or, even deeper infections that like cellulitis or folliculitis. There's so many areas of the skin that we have to keep in mind, like our sebaceous glands, our follicles, and all of the bacteria that are found in our skin are actually distributed based on the location of our, on the skin. So you're not going to find the same bacteria found in the sebaceous glands that you will find on the very surface of the skin. Just like you won't find the same bacteria on your face that you would find on maybe your chest or your buttocks or your legs. So there are some schematics in the Instagram post that I created to go along with this audio commentary. So I really urge you guys, just take a quick, go to the last slide and take a real, good look at it and just kind of orient yourself a little bit to understand that bacteria that are found on our skin that make up the microbiome of the skin are extremely, it's a vast family of microorganisms. Now, that being said, one of the key things I want to focus on is the use of skincare dispensers and how we're utilizing them and, what that can really lead to. So, for example, a lot of serums, oils, makeup primers, lots of liquid-based formulations come in this dropper vial setup as far as packaging goes. And I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not a huge fan of that. And the biggest reason is because I personally don't have a problem because I know that, we can't do certain things, but there are a lot of consumers out there that will take a dropper. And I know this was a big trend on Instagram and social media where you would see them put the dropper directly on their face and dispense the product and then put it back into the vial and then dispense some more. So what's happening here is very important to understand. things that are usually found in our skincare products are very, very conducive to bacterial growth. So when we grow bacteria in a lab, we call it a medium in which we're growing them. And that medium is usually enriched with nutrients that are allowing the bacteria to not only grow, but also, just divide and proliferate and just keep multiplying, right? Well, a lot of those things are simple ingredients like, common sugars that are found everywhere in our body, on the surfaces, lipids, growth factors that are commonly found. Like I said, again, water, is a big one. Anything aqueous related is a big one. So, and it's also important to realize that bacteria can grow in different environments. So, for example, certain temperatures and certain environmental conditions actually facilitate the growth of bacteria. So our skin, keeping in mind the pH, keeping in mind the temperature of our skin in various places, the moisture levels in various places, these are all things that are very, very important to really take heed of, because these are all components that contribute to bacterial growth and bacterial colonies, forming. So when you place that dropper back into the vial that you got it from after you've placed it directly on your skin, even if you got like one or two, bacterium on the actual dropper tip and you put it back in, that's enough to lead to this growth of a colony within the vial. And, you're not always going to see this hazy appearance that we often, contaminated products with. Sometimes, that's not going to be the case. So maybe an oil, for example, there might be bacteria that are very predisposed to growing in oils, which we know is very true. That can happen. And so you're not going to see a hazy appearance, that oil. It might still look clear, but that doesn't mean that it's clean. So this leads me to the next point, which is now you've got this product that is contaminated. You're utilizing it again and again and again, right, on your skin. And we all know that when we put on our skincare, we're leaving it on there for a few hours at least, right? Well, those few hours are really, contributing to this mechanism that the bacteria have to not only be on the skin surface, but to invade and to be aggressive towards the skin barrier and break it down. And so we can, this commonly leads to things that cause barrier damage, and then the things that I mentioned previously, like acne and, just things that lead to the breakdown of the skin barrier, leading to these bacteria leaking into the deeper layers of the skin, activating other cytokines and, immune regulatory factors that are going to cause more irritation, more inflammation in the area. So you're going to see things like rashes, you're going to see redness, you're going to see sensitivity. Also, it will predispose you to UV damage, because if you have a damaged skin barrier, obviously UV light is going to be a lot harsher on your skin. So these are all things that we really have to keep in mind. Also, another thing I really want to clarify is that we should not be sharing our skincare. If you have a skincare product that you really, really love, I highly suggest maybe dispense it without obviously touching the tip of the dispenser into a sterile vial for your friend to try, if you really want to give them a sample. But don't give them your actual, container of skincare, because if they do the same thing and they put that dropper on their skin, now you're cross-contaminating. And so this leads to a whole different slew of problems, because we all have a very distinct microbiome, and contrary to belief, it's not the same. So although we have a lot of schematics that illustrate common bacteria that are found throughout, it's kind of universally the common bacteria that are universally found in our skin, it doesn't mean that all of them are being accounted for in these schematics. So there are differences based on the person and what microbiota are on their skin. A lot of these things are impacted by, for example, if you've gone to a dermatologist before and you've been put on antibiotics like doxycycline, that can lead to a difference in the microbiota that will be on your skin versus somebody else's. It can also a big thing is, for example, drug resistance that a lot of bacteria develop because of the use of antibiotics in dermal health and, just common dermatology treatments that are offered to patients. So a lot of factors are coming in here, and those drug-resistant bacteria could be on one person's skin surface and then not another person's. So this is, it's a multi-layered problem. So my real genuine suggestion here is be careful how you dispense your skincare. The best way to do it is to take the dropper, take out as much as you want in the dropper, and then just, drop it onto your palm, the palm of your hand, without touching any skin. That way you're just, you're easily dispensing the product, you're getting the amount you want. Rub it between your hands. Obviously make sure your hands are clean. You wash your hands with an antibacterial soap beforehand, and then apply it onto your skin. Simple. That is, in my opinion, the best way to do it. I think that, there's a lot of things we can do. We don't need to be paranoid or anything. That's not why I made this post, but I just wanted to remind everybody that, proper skin hygiene is a real factor when it comes to adequate skincare routines. And it's also very helpful for your dermatologist, because if you're able to tell them that, I really do practice good skincare hygiene and I make sure that my hands are clean, I make sure that I don't touch my dispensers onto my skin surface and my products are not contaminated, this really helps them, because it helps them rule out problems that, they really have to rule out before they assess your skin and what could really be the problem. So, I just want everybody to keep in mind, we want to do everything we can to avoid inflammation in our skin. A big reason inflammation occurs is bacterial, and we want to avoid the overgrowth of those bacteria on our skin surface. So I hope you enjoyed this little episode, and definitely check out the slides that I put up on Instagram. I think they go really hand in hand with this commentary, and I would love to hear your feedback. Any questions that you might have for me, I'm happy to answer anyone's questions. I will definitely give you a real resource if I do answer any questions and cite it for you. So please feel free, send me an audio message through the Anchor app or wherever, and just keep connected and keep this conversation going. Maybe tell your friend or somebody who does this, just to get views on TikTok or views on Instagram. I know that's why a lot of influencers do this. I know there were, for example, certain serums and, face primers that were being used. I'm not going to name any names here, but a lot of people were putting them directly onto their skin, and it was just, oh my gosh, so cringeworthy, because I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh my God, you're going to cause so many problems. So, again, I don't want to rant, but I just want to say, I want everybody to be safe out there. Especially with the winter months coming up, they can be a lot harsher on your skin in terms of the weather and the temperature, and the skin can get drier. So it's more prone to breakage and cracking and, all these things that are already disrupting our barrier. So why add to that with, things like poor skincare hygiene, right? So that's my message. I hope you guys enjoyed this little episode, and stay tuned for a lot more to come. Thanks, guys.